My wife and I are a famous, purely hateful couple in our circle, spending 25 hours a day hurting each other and going home at night to aggressively hate each other. She just paraded around with a young toy boy, and I turned around and smashed her multi-million luxury car to pieces. She angrily threw me into a cold storage to freeze for a day, and as soon as I came out, I pushed her, who can't swim, into the pool. In the 3rd year of our marriage, she didn't come home all day, so I went in and out of major clubs to drag her back. Every time she saw me, she would curse me with the most bitter and mean words. In the 5th year of our marriage, her wish came true. Right on her birthday, I died. A strange man rushed in and stabbed me 33 times. Severe pain came from every corner of my body. My consciousness also gradually blurred. I wanted to call for help, but my throat could only make a faint sound. I murmured her name, Song Wenning. While using all my strength to fumble for my phone, I used my last bit of strength to dial her number. If one call wasn't answered, I dialed a second time. If 2 calls weren't answered, I pressed for a third. I don't know how many times I called. The call finally went through. I had just uttered one word, before being interrupted by an extremely cold voice on the other end, only to hear her say impatiently, "Lucinda, are you crazy? Calling endlessly, are you? I don't have time to argue with you today. Shinji is back. I have to pick him up at the airport." After those words, a busy signal came from the phone. She was so impatient, she even turned off her phone directly, causing the last sentence I wanted to say to be left unspoken. I gave a bitter smile. That sentence? Song Wenning? I'm dying. Let's not argue this time, okay? This sentence ultimately couldn't be spoken. When I regained consciousness, I found myself at the bridge of helplessness. Below my feet was the rolling water of the river of forgetfulness, as deep as an abyss. Mengpo handed a bowl of soup to me. She said to me, "Drink it. Forget the past. Start over." However, I drank 10 bowls in a row, but my memory remained as clear as before. I asked Mengpo with a bitter smile, "Is your soup watered down?" Mengpo sighed upon hearing this. She asked me, "Your obsession is too deep. What exactly can't you forget?" I couldn't help but close my eyes. Song Wenning, Shinji, and I were childhood friends, but even though we were both her childhood friends, she only liked Shinji. She would skip class to watch a basketball game for Shinji. Every time she looked at Shinji, her eyes were always filled with endless, lingering love. I also wanted her to look at me, so to attract her attention, I always tried every way to go against her. Over time, we became sworn enemies, until later, Grandma Song threatened with her life, forcing Song Wenning to marry me. Her resistance was futile, and she had to comply. On our wedding night, she accidentally found my diary and realized that I liked her, so she was certain it was me who made Grandma Song force the marriage. From that moment on, she thoroughly hated me, but she didn't know. When she could have become a vegetable after a car accident, her beloved Shinji immediately ran abroad, and I, not knowing if she would ever wake up, guarded her day and night. Grandma was exactly moved by this, which is why she forced her to marry me after she woke up. Many times I wanted to tell the truth, but every time I looked into her eyes full of hatred, I couldn't say a single word. After Mengpo shared my memories, she said, "Your obsession is unfinished. It's hard to enter reincarnation. I allow you to return to the human world for 5 days. As long as you can make Song Wenning say, 'I love you' to you, I will allow you to resurrect from the dead. If you can't, you must let go of everything and reincarnate." After saying that, she flicked her sleeve. I only felt my vision go black. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself standing in the familiar villa, and on the ground lay my uncloseted corpse. My heart trembled violently, tremblingly touching that face. The coldness from my fingertips made me instantly pull my hand back. I spent a lifetime and couldn't make her say she loved me. Now there are only 5 days left. How could it be possible? But a voice in the bottom of my heart struggled. What if? Now is not the time to feel sorry for myself. I bent down, struggling to move my corpse step by step towards the closet. Until I stuffed the corpse into the closet and closed the door, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then I fetched some water, knelt on the ground, and wiped the bloodstains on the floor bit by bit. With every wipe, my heart throbbed with pain. Just as I finished wiping the last patch of blood, a cold and disgusted voice suddenly came from behind. "Lu, Sinian, what are you doing?" My body stiffened. I slowly turned around and happened to see Song Wenning standing at the door. Her eyes were full of disgust and impatience. My throat moved, but I couldn't make a sound, only because Shinji was following behind Song Wenning. But the moment he saw me, Shinji's face instantly turned pale. His eyes were filled with terror. He even involuntarily backed up a few steps. His reaction was too abnormal. Even Song Wenning noticed something was wrong. She quickly supported him. "Shinji, What's wrong with you? Shinji tightly grabbed her arm, trying hard to suppress his emotions, said it's nothing. Just smelled a bloody scent. Feeling a bit uncomfortable? Hearing this, Song Wening immediately glared at me, disgustedly questioning Lucinian. Are you uncomfortable if you don't cause trouble for a day? 5 years now. What exactly will it take for you to stop? I looked at her calmly and used all my strength to say, if you want me to stop, fine, Song Wening. You say I love you to me. However, Song Wening gave a cold sneer, her mouth full of sarcasm. I love you. Do you deserve it? Finally, she turned to look at Shinji, affectionately saying, Shinji, I only love you. Shinji's face flushed with a blush, but his mouth said, Wening, don't be like this. Sinian will be sad if he hears it. But Song Wening didn't care at all. If his skin was really that thin, he wouldn't have forced me to marry him. Ignore him. I'll take you in to pick a room first. My heart felt as if it had been brutally stabbed. I suddenly stopped them and asked with a trembling voice, What are you doing? Song Wening looked at me coldly. Every word was like a knife. Shinji just returned to the country. His house is still being cleaned. He will stay with us for a few days. Lucinian, don't forget, if you hadn't used dirty tricks, your position would be his. Hearing this, my face instantly turned pale. If it were before, I would have definitely had a huge argument. But now I only felt exhausted and could only helplessly watch them walk past me. During dinner, I saw Song Wening and Shinji sitting together. They acted intimately, as if Shinji was the male owner of this house. They talked in low voices and kept laughing. While I was completely ignored, I lowered my head, mechanically putting food into my mouth. With Song Wening and Shinji's laughter echoing in my ears, my heart felt like it was being pricked by countless needles, hurting to the point of near suffocation until night fell. I accidentally ran into Shinji making a phone call. I only heard him say, Didn't I tell you to kill him? Why is he still standing here, perfectly fine? Hearing this, my heart sank heavily. The water cup instantly slipped and fell. Shinji quickly turned around upon hearing the sound. I asked him with a trembling voice, You hired that person? Just as Shinji was about to speak, he suddenly seemed to glimpse something. The next second, he suddenly staged a fall to the ground. Letting out a cry of pain, Song Wening heard the commotion and immediately rushed over. Seeing this scene, she was instantly burning with anger. She forcefully pushed me away, glared at me and yelled, Lu, Sinian, what are you doing? Upon hearing this, Shinji immediately grabbed Song Wening's hand and said aggrievedly, Don't blame him. It's probably because you confessed to me today. Sinian is too angry. It's fine if I suffer a little grievance, as long as he can vent his anger. Hearing this, Song Wening gave me a look full of anger. That look was like looking at an enemy, but she didn't dare to show it too, obviously. Afraid of scaring Song Wening bent down, gently helped Shinji up, and said in a soft tone, It'll take you to apply medicine first. I watched their departing backs, with a wave of bitterness in my heart. After returning to the room, I took out the first aid kit and silently applied medicine to myself. That bloody scratch was scratched when Song Wening pushed me away just now. The stinging pain from the medicine was far less than 1/10,000th of the pain in my heart. Just as I finished applying the medicine, Song Wening pushed the door and entered, questioning me. Are you uncomfortable if you don't look for trouble for a day? Yeah. What are you going to do about it? Song Wening didn't speak, but I understood that look. It was the prelude to the countless times our hatred intertwined. Sure enough, she grabbed me by the collar. The next second, she bit my lip hard. Her movements were rough and cold, as if I were just a tool to vent on. I frowned in pain, but gritted my teeth and didn't make a sound. Her breath blew against my ear, saying coldly, Lucinian, don't ever think about getting my love? I closed my eyes, tears sliding down. Finally, right before it ended, I said hoarsely, Song Wening, I love you. Song Wening buried her head in the crook of my neck. Her movement paused, and then she sneered. But I hate you. After saying that, she went to the bathroom, leaving me all alone. When I opened my eyes again, there was no one by my side anymore. My whole body felt cold. The morning sunlight spilled into the room through the window. I opened my eyes. My first thought wasn't that the sunlight is so nice today, but that this is the 4th day of the countdown. Time was like a knife hanging over my head that could fall at any time. Pushing me completely into the abyss, I lifted the blanket and got out of bed, stood up and walked into the bathroom. The cold water splashing on my face made me a bit more awake. Walking out of the room, I saw Shinji sitting at the dining table eating breakfast. When Shinji looked up and saw me, he smiled faintly, saying in a gentle tone, Sinian, you're awake. Wening went out. Originally, she was going to push back her meetings today to accompany me to the auction, but I didn't want her to ignore the company for me. I coaxed her for a long time before sending her off. I need a companion. Why don't you go with me? I frowned, instinctively wanting to refuse. However, he seemed to see through my thoughts, put down the coffee cup, and threatened, if you don't go with me, I will call Wenning and say you purposely pushed me down the stairs. My fingers tightened, my nails digging into my palms. If Shinji really said that, Song Wenning would absolutely believe him without hesitation, and I no longer have the time to explain, nor the chance to argue. I still need Song Wenning to say, I love you. I can't argue with her right now, so I coldly nodded. Okay, he'll go with you. On the way driving to the auction, I kept silent, while Shinji sat next to me, looking down at his phone from time to time, wearing a faint smile on his lips. Suddenly, the car braked violently. A black van blocked our way. Before we could even react, several masked men forcibly dragged us out of the car. My vision went black. Only Shinji's screams remained in my ears. And the kidnapper's heavy breathing? I don't know how much time passed. We were brought to an abandoned pier. The kidnapper leader took off his mask, revealing a sinister face. I recognized him at first glance. The president of the G group that Song Wenning just brought down? Ji Shihan. I frowned and asked Ji Shihan, what do you want to do? He sneered, with his eyes full of hatred. Song Wenning ruined my family. I want her to lose what she loves forever. After Ji Shihan spoke, he waved his hand. A few kidnappers immediately pushed me and Shinji to the edge of the pier. Below was pitch-black seawater, turbulent and surging, like a giant mouth ready to swallow everything at any time. At this moment, Ji Shihan took out his phone and dialed Song Wenning's number. President Jiang, your 2 men are both in my hands. I give you 1 hour. Choose one. Take him away, and the other will be pushed into the sea. Remember, you can only choose one. 1 hour later, Song Wenning's figure appeared at the pier. Her gaze swept over me and Shinji, and finally landed on Ji Shihan, her voice as cold as ice. Ji Shihan, let them go. Ji Shihan sneered. President Jiang, I already said, you can only choose one. Choose. Time is running out. Hearing this, Song Wenning's gaze hesitated between me and Shinji. Finally, she coldly said, I want choose. Because I want to save both of them. I won't give up on either one. Hearing this, I was stunned. Shinji's eyes also widened, seeming to not believe his ears. I couldn't help but look at Song Wenning and asked, don't you hate me? Yes, I hate you. But right now, you are my husband at least. I am not like you. I can't do such a heartless thing as ignoring someone's life or death. As these words came out, my heart suddenly ached, as if being fiercely stabbed by something. I opened my mouth, but finally couldn't say anything. At this time, Ji Shihan was obviously enraged by Song Wenning's attitude. He forcefully pushed Shinji towards the edge of the cliff. Choose one, otherwise I will push both of them down. Seeing this, Song Wenning's eyes suddenly turned cold. She stepped forward with large strides, her voice low and full of threats. Ji Shihan, if you dare to touch a single finger of theirs, I will make you wish you were dead. Right at this moment, police sirens sounded in the distance. Ji Shihan's expression changed, obviously not expecting the police to come so fast. He gritted his teeth and recklessly rushed towards Song Wenning holding a knife. Song Wenning, I didn't even think, and just threw myself over. Blocked in front of Song Wenning, the blade pierced into my shoulder. I gave a muffled groan. My body went limp and fell down. Song Wenning immediately caught. Limp me, a trace of panic flashing in her eyes. It's you. But my consciousness gradually blurred. I wanted to say something but couldn't make a sound, finally completely falling into darkness. When I woke up again, I found myself lying by the pool. Song Wenning stood in front of me. Her eyes were full of hatred. Lucinian, why did you put on this act with the kidnappers? Did you think this way? You could make me say I love you to you. I was stunned, completely not understanding what she was saying. Shinji has already told me. This kidnapping was planned by you and Ji Shihan together. Just to get him hurt? Lucinian, how could you be so vicious? It wasn't me, I explained. The words were interrupted halfway through. I know you are arrogant, usually loving to do things to go against me. But you can touch anyone, except Shinji. He is mine. She ordered someone to tie me to a stone and sink me into the pool. The freezing water instantly submerged my body. My breathing became more and more difficult. The world before my eyes gradually became blurry. Just when I was about to suffocate, Song Wenning finally had someone fish me up. But before I could even catch my breath, I was sunk down again. I don't know how many times I was sunk. Soaking wet, I was dragged ashore. Like a dying fish? Song Wenning squatted down, pinched my chin. You better remember. Next time you hurt Shinji again, settling the score between us won't be so simple. After speaking, she swaggered off with a group of bodyguards, never looking at me again. The third day of the countdown, I received a dinner banquet invitation. It was hosted by a mutual friend in our circle, inviting me and Song Wening to attend together. Song Wening stood at the door, but Shinji stood by her side. I curled my lips. Why? President Song is taking Shinji to the banquet? Song Wening's voice carried undisguised disgust. Shinji is my male companion. Do you have any objections? No objections. Just reminding President Song. Don't forget we haven't divorced yet. You bringing another man to the banquet? Aren't you afraid of people gossiping? Song Wening sneered. Lucinian, you are just a decoration. Don't take yourself too seriously. After saying that, she turned and left with Shin. Without giving me a single extra glance, I stood there. Looking at their backs, an indescribable bitterness surged in my heart. The banquet scene was brightly lit. Guests gathered. As soon as Song Wening and Shinji appeared, they attracted everyone's attention. Song Wening seemed to intentionally want to embarrass me. Being extremely intimate with Shinji at the banquet, causing the surrounding guests to whisper, President Song and Lucinian are a swarmy couple. Looks like it's true. Lucinian is too pitiful, obviously the official husband. Yet, acting like an outsider, I listened to these discussions, but never stepped forward. I knew the more I showed I cared, the prouder Song Wening would be. However, things didn't end here. Halfway through the banquet, Shinji suddenly stood up, saying he was going to the restroom. Song Wening nodded gently, watching him leave, but not long after, Shinji ran back with disheveled clothes. With suppressed tears in his eyes, Wening, save me. He fell into Song Wening's arms as if unable to support himself. Just now in the restroom, Lucinian, he arranged for someone to drug me. As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was in an uproar, everyone's eyes focused on me. Song Wening stood up abruptly. Her gaze pierced towards me like a knife. She grabbed the red wine glass on the table and smashed it fiercely on the floor. Lucinian, what did I tell you last time? You dare to touch Shinji again. I won't let you off. I stood there, looking at her with a calm gaze. I didn't touch him. Song Wening's face grew gloomier. She strode over to me. Would he frame you with this kind of thing? Besides, you are a repeat offender. I looked up with a hoarse and desperate voice. Then what do you want me to do? Kneel down and apologize to Shin. My pupils contracted sharply. My hands clenched tightly into fists. Impossible. I, Lu, Sinian, kneel to heaven, earth, and my parents. Kneeling to anyone else is absolutely impossible. After speaking, I turned around to leave, but Song Wening's face was extremely gloomy. She strode over to me and kicked my knee. I was caught off guard and fell heavily to my knees. Apologize. I only felt my self-esteem being torn apart bit by bit. I said I didn't. Song Wening sneered, raised her hand to signal the bodyguards behind her. 2 bodyguards immediately stepped forward and pressed my shoulders, forcing me to I struggled. My forehead knocked heavily on the ground, emitting a muffled thud. Lucinian, you still won't admit your mistake? Song Wening's voice carried a hint of impatience. An indescribable despair surged in my heart, using all the strength in my body. I suddenly broke free from the bodyguard's restraint, stood up, raised my hand, and slapped Song Wening hard. The crisp sound of the slap was exceptionally piercing in the silent banquet hall. Song Wening. My tears finally flowed out uncontrollably. I said, Is it only what he says that is right? And everything I say is wrong. You love him so much, but I am your husband. What am I? My voice carried despair and pain. As if to pour out all the grievances and unwillingness in my heart, vent it all out. This is my first time crying in front of Song Wening, and also my first time exposing my vulnerability in front of her. Song Wening was stunned. She had never seen me like this. I've always been stubborn, never showing weakness. But at this moment, I am like a clown forced into a corner. She opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say. Song Wening, remember? I, Lucinian, never owed you anything. After speaking, I turned and strode out of the banquet hall. Song Wening stood there. The burning pain on her face brought her back to reality. She looked at my back. An indescribable feeling suddenly surged in her heart. The second day of the countdown is my parents' death anniversary. I got up early, preparing to go out to pay respects. However, just as I reached the door, Song Wening called out to stop me. I'll go with you. My footsteps paused. What? You want the bodyguards to hold me down again? To kowtow to Xing. Song Wening's face instantly turned cold. Yesterday was your fault to begin with. Are you never going to let it go? I sneered. Pushed her away and walked straight outside. However, when I got to the car, I found Shinji sitting in the passenger seat. Brother Sinian. Wening said she's going to pay respects to uncle and aunt. I wanted to come too. I turned around abruptly. Song Wening. This is my bottom line. He is not allowed to pay respects. Song Wening frowned. Shinji means, well, don't be ungrateful. Means, well, my eyes were full of sarcasm. Today is my parents' death anniversary. Not your date day. Shinji sighed. Brother Sinian, why do you hate me so much? Weren't we on good terms before? I looked at Shinji with cold eyes. Why do I hate you so much? You know it yourself. Song Wening couldn't bear to watch. Reached out and grabbed my wrist. Lu Sinian, stop being unreasonable. Get in the car. I struggled, but couldn't break free from her grip. The car sped all the way to the cemetery. I didn't want to see the two people behind holding chrysanthemums. Walking quickly to my parents' tombstone. Mom, Dad, I came to see you. Song Wening had followed me at some point. Standing behind me, looking at the tombstone with a complex gaze. Mom, Dad, although I don't like Lu Sinian, but I will take care of him for a lifetime. Hearing this, my body suddenly stiffened. After a long while, I gritted my teeth and said, no need. You just need to say, I love you. Song Wening's face instantly turned cold. Impossible, Lu Sinian. Don't push your luck. I will never be able to love you. My heart ached, and I didn't speak again. After the worship ended, Song Wening turned and left with Shin. I couldn't bear to leave. Stood in front of the grave for a while longer. I don't know how long passed. I was just about to leave. When I was stopped by the staff, Mr. Lu, there is something we feel we should tell you. Actually, your parents' ashes have already been scattered by Mr. Shinji. Hearing this, my pupils contracted sharply. Almost unable to believe what I heard. What did you say? The staff sighed. A few days ago, Mr. Shinji forced us to dig up your parents' ashes. We refused. He threatened us. If we didn't obey, the Song family wouldn't make things easy for us. I only felt a blank in my mind. When I reacted again, I had already turned and rushed out of the cemetery. Rushing straight to the club where Song Wening and Shinji were. When I rushed into the private room, I happened to see Song Wening and Shinji sitting on the sofa, playing a game of truth or dare. Shinji lost. According to the rules, he had to actively kiss Song Wening, just the moment his lips were about to touch hers. I rushed over, grabbed the wine bottle on the table, and smashed it hard on Shinji's head. The wine bottle shattered. Shinji grunted and fell to the ground. Screams all around. Song Wening stood up and slapped me. Lu Sinian, are you crazy? I'm crazy. He is the crazy one. Do you know what he did to my parents? Your parents are dead. What else could he do? There are still ashes. My voice trembled. He scattered my parents' ashes. Song Wening was stunned for a moment. A hint of shock flashed in her eyes. However, Shinji cried with a face full of tears. I didn't. Why do you have to frame me? Song Wening seemed to remember something too. Are your framing methods so low-end now? How much your parents loved Shinji since childhood? How could he do such a thing? Didn't you just see us about to kiss outside? So you deliberately came to pick a fight? I stood there, my eyes full of tears. Song Wening, you are really stupid. I am stupid too. So we are destined to both lose what we love forever. After saying that, I laughed loudly, turned and left. My back thin and resolute. The last day of the countdown, I still hadn't waited for Song Wening to say that sentence to me. I calmly took a knife, went up to the highest rooftop in the city center, sent Song Wening my location. Then threw the phone aside, quietly waiting. The news of my impending suicide quickly spread across the scene. The media surrounded the building tightly. I got what that she know. Song Wening finally appeared. She pushed through the crowd, rushed up to the rooftop, her face terrifyingly gloomy. What exactly are you making a fuss about? Did you see me accompanying Shinji in the hospital? And started deliberately making trouble again. Don't forget. Last night it was you who smashed his head. I slowly turned around, looking at her with calm eyes. Say you love me or watch me die. Song Wening was stunned. Lu Sinian, are you crazy? Do you think you can force my hand this way? I didn't answer, just quietly looking at her. The dagger in my hand still pressed against my heart. A hint of impatience flashed in Song Wening's eyes. Fine, they'll say it. Lu Sinian. In this life, the next life, and the life after next, I will never be able to like you. Are you satisfied? You can jump now. I chuckled lightly. The dagger in my hand dropped to the ground with a clang. I calmly walked down from the edge of the rooftop, standing in front of Song Wening. Song Wening looked at me, feeling inexplicably relieved in her heart. She smiled coldly. I knew you wouldn't dare to jump. I shook my head. Song Wening, you don't understand. Whether I jump or not doesn't matter anymore, because I have given up hope. Song Wening frowned. Just as she wanted to say something, her phone suddenly rang. Wenning, it hurts so much. Can you come accompany me? Song Wenning's face instantly softened. Okay, it'll be right there. She hung up the phone, looked at me coldly, turned and left, without a trace of reluctance. My heart, however, was completely calm, as if all the pain and obsession vanished into thin air at this moment. I left the rooftop, went to the law firm, signed my name on the divorce agreement, then handed the agreement to the lawyer, and asked them to send the other copy to Song Wenning. After leaving, I returned to the villa, pulled my corpse out of the closet, placed it gently on the sofa, then took a piece of paper, wrote down a few lines. Song Wenning, actually I died a long time ago. These 5 days were just extra time Meng Po gave me. She said, as long as you say one sentence, I love you, I would be able to survive. But you didn't? So I'm dead and I don't love you anymore either. Love, Shinji. Well, from now on, you will never see me again. After writing, I placed the note next to the corpse, sat quietly on the sofa, and closed my eyes. Soon, my body gradually became transparent, finally turning into specks of starlight, dissipating into the air. On the bridge of helplessness, I stood in front of Meng Po again. Drink it. This time you should let go. I took the soup bowl, tilted my head, and drank it all in one gulp. The moment the soup entered my throat, a tear slid down from the corner of my eye, falling into the bowl. Meng Po asked softly, do you still remember who Song Wenning is? A trace of bewilderment flashed in my eyes. Shook my head. Who is that? Meng Po was very satisfied, waved her hand. Go reincarnate. I nodded, turned and jumped into the cycle of reincarnation. My figure gradually disappeared, finally turning into a ray of light, disappearing at the end of the bridge of helplessness. From then on, there was no longer Lucinian in the world. A day later, Song Wenning received the divorce agreement sent from the villa. Lucinian is really going too far. Yesterday, it was suicide. Today, it is divorce. Tomorrow, is he going to cry at my grandmother's grave? Shinji curiously glanced at the divorce agreement and found that I left all my property to Song Wenning. Wenning, don't you not love him? Might as well just divorce him. That way we can be together openly and honestly. Song Wenning gave a faint look, tore the divorce agreement into pieces, and threw it into the trash can. I don't love him, but I must take good care of him. This is grandmother's last wish. No matter what methods Lucinian used back then, I will not divorce him. However, I won't let you suffer grievances. Lucinian, if he dares to use those dirty tricks to bully you again, I will pay him back 1,000, 100 times over. A trace of coldness revealed in the woman's eyes. She nodded with a face full of happiness, but in a corner she couldn't see. The man glared resentfully at those broken divorce agreements. He came with the goal of being Song Wenning's partner. If he can't be together with Song Wenning, what is the meaning of all this he is doing now? In the following days, no one took that divorce agreement seriously. Lucinian also didn't act like before, constantly calling and harassing. This allowed them to spend a harmonious and sweet period of time. The media interviewed them. Song Wenning didn't mind at all being hugged by the man's arm around her shoulder, kissing deeply in front of the camera, saying the person she loves deeply is right by her side. When doing these things, her mind couldn't help but think of Lucinian. When he knows everything, he will definitely be mad, right? Just like before, as long as she did something slightly, I would make a big fuss and come out to go against her. She waited smugly for my call, waiting for my hysteria. But 10 days passed in a row, I didn't make a single call. On the 11th day, Song Wenning took the initiative to check her phone, confirming she hadn't blocked the other party. Lucinian was really giving her the cold treatment until now. The woman sneered at the empty chat page. Shinji woke up by her side. Wenning, sleep a little longer. Shall we go see the aurora today? Over these past few days, Song Wenning responded to his every request, but this time Song Wenning, not knowing what she was thinking, unexpectedly rejected him. This whole day, the woman coldly held her phone, having to glance at it from time to time, making Shinji clench his teeth. At night, they lay in bed as usual. Song Wenning's phone suddenly vibrated. The woman immediately stopped her movements and brought it over. But immediately after, she angrily threw it back. It was just a spam text. She didn't know what she was angry about. Was she expecting Lucinian to send her a message? Arguing and causing a fuss like usual. Doing whatever it takes to make her go back? Song Wenning's face was dark, taking her unprovoked anger and venting it all on the man. But the more she heard Shinji's muffled groans, the more her head was filled with my voice. 2.5 minutes later, Shinji was still hugging her shoulders, but she had lost interest. Got up with a gloomy face and put on clothes. It's already so late. Where are you going? To find Lucinian? That man is acting up again. After I go back and teach him a lesson, I will come back to accompany you. She didn't even look back. Turned around and went out to drive. She never thought, an hour later, this day would become the most regretted and most hated day in her life. Hating the hot weather, hating the cold floor. Hating her indifferent self and the flies buzzing past her eyes. Creating her painful lifetime, an hour. Song Wenning returned to the villa. Reaching the door, she faintly smelled a stench. Sure enough, Lucinian couldn't give up so easily. Must have made preparations, just waiting for me to come back. She kicked the door open. The lights weren't turned on inside, nor was there a single sound. Song Wenning spoke to herself. Ah, Lucinian, are you satisfied? I left Shinji and came back. Ah, you've been quiet for so many days. Weren't you just waiting for this moment? No response. She wasn't in a hurry either. Turned on the light. Went upstairs step by step. I want to see what tricks you are playing again. Could it be you really died? Lucinian, you are an adult. When will you be a bit more mature? Stop playing these little tricks. If you behave honestly, I could come back and keep you company more. The stench grew heavier. Several flying insects bumped into her and flew away, making Song Wenning frown in disgust. Couldn't understand what I was thinking. Making the house like this? She arrived at the second floor, entered the living room. The stench almost hit her face. Until this moment, she still didn't know what this smell was. The next second, she fumbled for the switch on the wall. The blinding light suddenly turned on, illuminating everything in front of her. At this time, Song Wenning finally knew what this stench really was. It was the smell of a rotting corpse. It was the cheering of flies and mosquitoes. It was the squelching mucus sounds of wriggling maggots. It was the dead me. Song Wenning's breathing stopped. Lucinian. She couldn't believe it. Opened her mouth softly, slowly approaching, and no one responded to her. Her heart was beating fast, as if it was going to pop out of her throat. Shaking her chest until it hurt. Ah, Lucinian, enough. Stop playing. I admit I've been neglecting you lately. You don't need to play such a joke. She tried hard to keep her tone calm, but when she got closer and saw that face, her voice still trembled. Song Wenning reached out wanting to touch, but before she could touch the corpse, her sight was attracted by a piece of paper next to it. Song Wenning. Actually, I died a long time ago. These 5 days were just extra time. Mengpo gave me. She said, as long as you say one sentence, I love you, I would be able to survive. But you didn't? So, I'm dead, and I don't love you anymore either. Love, Shinji. Well, from now on, you will never see me again. Her trembling could no longer be suppressed. She looked at my corpse, her pupils trembling, her face mixed with many complex expressions. At this moment, her throat felt as if it was being choked by someone, making it hard for her to breathe. Song Wenning couldn't hold it back anymore. Suddenly ran to the bathroom and started throwing up. Not knowing how long she threw up, the phone in her pocket rang. Song Wenning answered it dizzily. You really put on a good show today. I admit you won this time. Lucinian, you won. There was an eerie silence on the other end. After a few seconds, Shinji's voice came through. Wenning, it's me, Shinji. Can you come back and keep me company? Song Wenning hung up the phone directly. Her brain woke up. Returning to the front of my corpse, she read the contents of the note again, then took a deep breath. I love you. The corpse had no changes, so Song Wenning squatted down, maintaining a parallel height. I love you, Lucinian. Her fingers clenched the note. The paper wrinkling in her hands, she didn't give up, and continued to repeat that sentence. Did you hear me? Isn't this what you wanted? I have already said I love you now. You can hear it as many times as you want. End this absurd joke. The more she said those words that were like a curse, the more she panicked. Why hasn't he woken up yet? Why hasn't he come back to life yet? How could Lucinian really be gone? In the end, she gave up in despair, wishing she could grab the shoulders of that corpse and shake it. At this time, the phone rang suddenly. Breaking Song Wenning's solitary breakdown, she seemed to see hope. Suddenly answered it and put it to her ear, opening her mouth impatiently. Ah, where are you? Lucinian, where are you exactly? I've already said it many times. If you want to hear it, I can keep saying it. I love you. I love you. I love you. Is it enough, Lucinian? The woman seemed angry, yet also panicked. She quietly waited for a response from the other end. But what sounded was still not the voice she expected. What are you talking about? Come save me quickly. Lucinian came to bully me again while you were away. Song Wenning didn't need to think. No. How sad and heartbroken the man on the other end of the phone was. She looked down at Lucinian's corpse and asked numbly, "Ah, Lucinian went to your place. He came as soon as you left and said he would make me look bad." Song Winning suddenly felt a burst of absurd amusement. "Stop pretending, Shinji. Lucinian is already dead." The other end seemed to lose its voice. After a long while, did he carefully and aggrievedly answer, "I just wanted to see you. Whinnying, I know you are very sad. Let me come keep you company, okay?" "Sad? How could I be sad? Lucinian is my sworn enemy. I am too happy to even have time for anything else. Now that Hei's dead," Shinji's joy couldn't be suppressed at all. "Then let's get married." "Okay." Song Whinnying, who was just laughing, suddenly turned her face cold. "I said I would take care of Lucinian for a lifetime, regardless of whether he is dead or alive." Shinji was stunned for a moment, screaming unbearably, "Then do you want me to follow you without any status or title forever? Song Wenning, when can you think about me?" Song Wenning didn't respond, but hung up the phone coldly. In her mind, was all the abnormal behavior Lucinian had shown before? I never used to ask her if she loved me, because everyone knew she hated him. But those 5 days, Lucinian almost gave up all his dignity just to get this one sentence. She remembered that day at the gathering. The man's vulnerability and tears, remembered his despair on the rooftop. Song Wenning's heart tightened bit by bit. She once again said, "I love you," softly to the corpse, then painfully raised her hand and punched the wall fiercely, punching it over and over until her hands were dripping with blood. Did she weakly stop? Before the very beginning, 5 days ago, how exactly did Lucinian die? She lifted her reddened eyes and immediately started investigating my cause of death. Then found out that on that day, a strange man broke into the house and brutally stabbed me 33 times. I fell to the ground covered in blood, but hadn't breathed my last. With a ray of hope, dialed someone's number. After endless busy signals, that call was finally answered. But I had just opened my mouth and hadn't said a word. What greeted me was a fierce, scolding Song Wenning's face paled a few degrees, because what came from the surveillance was her own voice. She suddenly remembered. She indeed received a call from me on that day. What did she say at that time? She told me not to be annoying, not to disturb her, going to pick Shinji up and come back, and then heartlessly hung up the phone just like that, without even hearing a single sentence from me. If she had been a little patient at that time, would he not have died? She didn't dare to think of this possibility, and could only keep staring at the surveillance. Not long after, another me appeared. This is the me that only existed for 5 days. Wiping the bloodstains on the floor, hiding my own corpse. Immediately after was her moving into the villa with the rest of the content. Without watching the surveillance, Song Wenning could also know what happened, but the voices of conversation still transmitted into her brain like a nightmare. "If you want me to stop, fine, Song Wenning. You say I love you to me. I love you. Do you deserve it? Song Wenning, you just need to say one sentence, I love you." Impossible. Lucinian, never impossible. Sentence by sentence, the dialogue was my signal for help. Clearly, as long as she said one sentence, even if just to coax me and lower her head, I wouldn't have to die. But she cruelly snuffed out my hope time and time again. Until the last day, I didn't ask for that love anymore, but directly prepared our divorce agreement. Her heart felt as if tightly gripped by a hand. Dizzy and giddy, unable to see the way clearly, Song Wenning struggled to stand up. She called her assistant. "Hurry and investigate who the man that broke in that day was," she roared, startling the assistant. During the waiting time, Song Wenning couldn't control her irritable emotions. She couldn't help but smash things in the villa. Those invaluable porcelain vases and artworks all became props for her to vent on. Not knowing how long passed, just when she was so tired she couldn't toss about anymore. The assistant carrying a stack of documents came back, but his face didn't look very good. His tone was hesitant. "President Song, the person who broke in that day has been found." But what?" The assistant trembled a bit, handed the documents over. Song Wenning snatched them. But the more she looked, the paler her face became, because the person that day was unexpectedly instigated by Not only that, the assistant also took everything that happened in the past and investigated it clearly. It was all directed and acted by Shinji himself. To frame me, she flipped through them page by page, read to the last page. Her face suddenly lost all color. Because the matter I said back then about Shinji scattering my parents' ashes was actually true. I endured for so long, because of my parents' ashes, angry and wanting to settle scores with Shinji, but was stopped by her. My eyes were so desperate at that time, standing on the rooftop wanting an answer. But she still cruelly and heartlessly hurt me. Song Wening felt the blood all over her body run cold. Why did Shinji do such a thing? She obviously gave him so much. Why did he still treat Lucinian like this? Even finding someone to kill him, extreme anger made her eyes turn red. She took out her phone and dialed the number she had kept hanging up on. Shinji, come over. Her tone was ice, but the man didn't realize it. Instead, he rushed over immediately with great joy. He even dressed up specially. Seeing Song Wening, he immediately pressed close. Is it true that Lucinian is dead? I brought flowers to pay respects to him. Shinji took out a bouquet of flowers. It was passionate and beautiful roses, blooming extremely brilliantly, just like him right now. Why? Didn't she realize earlier that Shinji had bad intentions, but chose to believe this man time and time again? Song Wening's cold eyes stared at the man with a delicate face. Shinji was a bit confused. Wening, why do you keep looking at me? Is there something on my face? Even up until now, he was still pretending Song. When Ying sneered, whether Lucinian is dead or not. Aren't you the clearest about it? Shinji's face changed, then quickly recovered. Pretending not to understand, how could I be clear about it? Ah, Wening, what are you saying? But Song Wening's eyes remained indifferent. She pinched the man's chin and slapped him hard under Shinji's expectant gaze. Shinji was slapped so hard he fell heavily to the ground. The bouquet also scattered entirely on the ground. His pale face turned crimson. Looking up with eyes full of disbelief, Wening, why did you hit me? Saying this, he seemed to understand something. Covering his own face, his eyes gradually became resentful. I understand. Did Lucinian say something to you? No matter what he said, he definitely must be lying to you. He is just jealous of me. Wening, have you forgotten? Lucinian wanted to harm me more than once. Are you going to believe him? He cried as he spoke, as if he had suffered a massive grievance. Little did he know that such words would only make Song Wening angrier. Shinji, you are courting death. Saying this, Song Wening faced the man who fell on the ground and kicked him. Kicking him so hard his forehead started bleeding, yet he still wasn't clear about what exactly happened. Why Song Wening was treating him like this? Lucinian must have done something. Why is it that even when he is dead, his ghost still lingers? Shinji's eyes were teary. He crawled on the ground to Song Wening's feet, crying pitifully and shaking his head. Wening, tell me, where did I go wrong? I can change it all. Don't believe Lucinian's words? Okay, he is already dead. From now on, there's only the two of us left. However, the woman's eyes had long lost their initial doting. She looked down from above and threw those documents at Shinji's face. Inside, piece by piece, item by item, were all the things he had done. Shinji's face turned deathly pale. His hands tightly gripped Song Wening's trouser legs. His eyes were full of tears. Subconsciously explaining, it's not like this. Wening, I had my reasons for all of it. It was Lucinian who provoked me first, but what he got in return was only colder treatment. Song Wening pinched his chin, a storm of anger brewing in her eyes. Even now, you still dare to frame Lucinian. I trusted you so much before, yet you lied in front of me time and time again. Shinji, you have a lot of nerve. The anger contained in her tone terrified Shinji. He begged the person in front of him to forgive him this once, but he forgot. Song Wening was never a soft-hearted person. Her voice was still just as cold. I just trusted you too much. That's why Lucinian ended up in this state. Do you know where he is now? As long as you go apologize to him, I will forgive you. Shinji stopped crying. His eyes lit up. He knew he still had a chance. He had followed Song Wening for so long, it was impossible for her to not care about him at all. She could least bear to see him cry. Then Shinji also nodded quickly, with a smile in his eyes. I will go to Lucinian's grave right now. I will definitely apologize to him properly. Song Wening looked at him, a murky and unclear smile hooked on her lips, her voice seeming to come from hell. No need. He is right here. Shinji's expression remained, why would Lucinian be here? But the woman ignored his words, pulled Shinji's arm and walked to the second floor. Since entering the villa, Shinji had smelled a stench. Now the further upstairs they went, the heavier this smell became, so strong it made him couldn't help but frown and complain. Wening, where are you taking me? What is this smell? Why does it smell so bad? Ah, Song Wening glanced over. Taking you to see Lucinian. She said this, making Shinji's frown tighten even more. Unable to resist asking, isn't Sinian dead? But Song Wening didn't answer him anymore. She took him to the second floor. Without the lights on, it was pitch black inside. But Song Wening led him straight ahead. He had no choice but to fumble in the dark, until his leg bumped into something. Song Wening then stopped. Then the lights came on. He saw Lucinian clearly in front of him. The next second, he almost threw up. Song Wenning, are you crazy? Why did you bring me to see a corpse? He gagged, covering his mouth, trying hard to support himself from falling down, but the woman pinned him down like crazy, making him get closer, close enough for him to see my appearance. Shinji, have you forgotten? It was you who killed him. It was you who hired someone to break in and stab Lucinian alive. That day was exactly the time you returned to the country. The man's pupils trembled. His nose was about to touch me. But wasn't Lucinian still perfectly alive after that? Yes, Lucinian was still perfectly alive that day. He originally had a chance to continue living. It's all you. All because of your viciousness. That made me reject him time and time again. Song Wenning's eyes turned sharp and let go of her grip. Shinji almost fell onto me. He could no longer hold it back and crawled to the side to throw up. The woman told him the truth. It turns out that after being killed, I was given 5 days of time. As long as she could say I love you once, then I would be able to come back to life. But someone constantly obstructed it. When saying these words, Song Wenning's gaze fell upon Shinji's body, making him feel the woman's anger. Shinji couldn't help but tremble. He finally understood why Song Wenning was so angry. He subconsciously explained, I didn't want to do this either, but I love you. I don't want to be nameless and statusless like this. I want to be together with you openly and honestly. I did all this for our future. I know you can't bear to divorce Lucinian. I could only use this method. Wenning, don't you believe me? I did all this because I love you. The woman's lips hooked up in a cruel smile. You say you love me? Shinji nodded hastily, a trace of hope igniting in his eyes. You harmed me. You immediately went abroad the year I was in a car accident and returned to the country after hearing about my net worth. Shinji, is this how you love me? Back then, it was Lucinian who solely took care of me. Until I recovered. You say you love me? Then, when I loved you the most, where did you go when I needed you the most? The woman's questioning smashed onto Shinji's heart. The hope that had just ignited in him was extinguished again. He didn't expect Song Wenning to even know about what happened back then. His face was deathly pale, shaking his head continuously. No, it wasn't for money that I came back. Wenning, believe me. Song Wenning's face was as cold as frost. The result of me believing you was that it killed Lucinian. During those 5 days, I had countless chances to save him. It was all because of you. Because of your instigation and framing. That caused me to fail to let him live. With every sentence she said, the anger in Song Wenning's eyes grew, and the strength in her hand got heavier. She choked Shinji tightly. The man's face flushed red. Unable to even say a single word of rebuttal, fear surged out deeply. It was his first time seeing such a Song Wenning. Such madness. Tears overflowed from the corners of Shinji's eyes. He struggled hard amidst suffocation, spitting out weak words. Sorry, Wenning. Shinji used all his strength for every single word he said. But Song Wenning didn't let go. She watched his dying gasps coldly. Watched him lose his breath bit by bit. Until he was about to die, did Song Wenning suddenly let go? Letting Shinji fall heavily to the ground? Letting you die just like this? Would really be letting you off too easy. Since you like putting baseless things on yourself so much, then you should experience them all once. Shinji lay on the ground, panting violently. He thought he was going to be choked to death just now, but then immediately realized he might as well be dead, because Song Wenning had already mercilessly announced the punishment. Let's start from when you said Lucinian pushed you down the stairs. No. Bodyguards rushed in, dragged the man on the ground and pulled him out, then threw him viciously down the stairs. A 99-step staircase, he was repeatedly thrown down and dragged back up. Every bone in his body felt as if it was shattered. He tried to ask Song Wenning for help, but the other party always watched this scene coldly. Shinji, this is only the beginning. The woman opened and closed her lips, spitting out incredibly cold words, making Shinji feel as if he had plunged deep into hell. All the way until he fainted, did this painful torture end. Song Wenning sent him to the hospital. He stayed for 2 weeks. Before he could fully recover, he was dragged away. This time it was the seaside. The piercingly cold sea breeze made Shinji shiver involuntarily. He remembered the second thing he framed me for. At that time, I laid in this freezing seawater for a whole night. His face was covered in tears. Grabbing the corner of Song Wenning's clothes, I already know I was wrong. Wenning, I beg you to let me go. But the woman didn't soften her heart. She ordered people to tie Shinji to a stone and then mercilessly threw him into the sea. The salty and wet seawater immediately submerged the man. He couldn't swim. As soon as he fell in, he choked on a few mouthfuls of water, feeling incredibly uncomfortable. With no oxygen, just when he was about to drown in the sea, Song Wenning pulled him up again. Shinji fiercely gasped for air and dropped back down again after just one breath. During the process, he didn't know how many times he fainted. Every time he lost consciousness, the bodyguards would slap him awake, making him lucidly experience the agony of drowning. For a whole night, Shinji was tortured half to death. When the morning light appeared, his whole body was freezing. With no trace of color on his face, Song Wenning kept him suspended, not caring about the many onlookers. Wenning, don't be like this anymore. I know my mistakes. I will repent in front of Lu Xinian's grave. Wenning, just let me go, okay? The man cried miserably, yet couldn't get back even a tiny bit of Song Wenning's, her indifferent gaze looked over heavily. You can't take it just with this. The things you have done are far more than just these. As soon as these words came out, Shinji's already pale face looked even more pitiful. As if thinking of something, constantly shaking his head. No, don't do that, Wenning sneered. With mocking eyes, Shinji, you will have the chance to go to Lu Xinian's grave. The things you have done, you must pay back one by one. She raised her hand to let Shinji down and took him to a hotel. But the man's eyes were full of misery, screaming desperately. He was dragged into the hotel, immediately followed by a few bodyguards, who forced a full bowl of strong drugs down his throat. This torture lasted for several days. Song Wenning finally let the bodyguards leave the room with satisfaction, while Shinji's eyes were dull, discarded on the ground like a dirty rag, without an ounce of dignity. Even when Song Wenning walked over, he didn't notice it at all. The woman looked down at him from above for a long time. Sensing a gaze lingering on him for a long time, Shinji's sluggish brain slowly reacted. His eyes gradually focused. Looking towards that direction, it was Song Wenning. In an instant, as if he had grabbed onto hope, he suddenly scrambled up and hugged her feet. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Let me go. I'm begging you. I will change. I will never do those things again. It was all my fault before. As long as you can forgive me, I will do anything. The man's voice and tears fell together. The fear in his eyes did not seem fake, but he still had a chance to be forgiven. While I had nothing, thinking of this, she remained almost emotionless, staring at Shinji's miserable state. As long as you finish one last thing and clear your debts with Lu Xinian, I will forgive you. She offered a temptation that Shinji found hard to refuse. In order to escape this hellish punishment, he was willing to do anything. He kept nodding. As long as you forgive me, I can do anything. Shinji was dragged to the front of my grave, being pressed to kowtow on one hand, while having a knife stabbed into his body on the other. He wanted to escape, but Song Wenning held him down tightly, forcing him to remain kneeling. He roared in despair, but not a single person responded to him. All the way to the 33rd stab, Shinji's expression was filled with hatred. He yelled madly and angrily. Why? Why do you have to treat me like this? Song Wenning's face didn't change color. She looked at him coldly and said, because you caused Lu Xinian's death. This is what you deserve. Shinji laughed wildly, recklessly pointing at Song Wenning, his eyes glaring dead at her. And you say you don't love Lu Xinian? You clearly love him. That's why you are so angry. That's why you are taking revenge on me like this. But it's all too late. Do you think Lu Xinian died because of me? The fact that he died is entirely because you never trusted him. If you had been willing to care about him a little more, would he have died so desperately? Song Wenning, you are the biggest culprit. You loved Lu Xinian to the point of madness. You are a lunatic now. But no matter what you do, Lu Xinian will never come back. Just live like this for the rest of your life. His voice grew louder and louder, and then gradually lost the strength to breathe. Lying weakly on the ground, 2 lines of tears flowing from the corners of his eyes, Shinji closed his eyes, while from beginning to end, Song Wenning just looked at him coldly, unwilling to admit her feelings for me, but deep down inside, those complex emotions surged like a tide. Song Wenning didn't handle Shinji's corpse, just left it outside, and returned to the villa herself. It had already been cleaned by the nanny, restored to its former appearance, no longer having the weird stench. But as soon as she stepped into the villa, Song Wenning felt from beginning to end as if a flying insect was buzzing around her. She turned a blind eye to it, walked to the 2nd floor, and sat on the sofa. Lu Xinian, you should be satisfied now, right? Shinji is already dead. I said I would take care of you for a lifetime, regardless of whether I love you or not. I have already done it. I made him pay the price. She paused, and continued to say to the empty villa, I have investigated the matter about Grandma, clearly. I have misunderstood you all along. I'm sorry, Lu Xinian. This was still the first time she apologized to me. In the past, we had so many arguments. We would only hate each other. Now, having lost the person who hated her back, and also having dealt with Shinji Song Wenning suddenly felt a bit empty. She leaned on the sofa, looking up at the ceiling, that non-existent flying insect, still flying back and forth before her eyes unfocused. Muttering to herself, "When are you planning to come back? I have been helping you manage your family's business. These things, when you come back, you have to return to me with interest." Lu Sinian. Didn't you always refuse to bow your head to me? Why don't you like bickering with me now? Right. You are already dead. Now you can't even smash my car if you wanted to. Her mouth tugged into a smile, and then she stumbled out the door. At this time, Song Wenning arrived at a bar's private room, ordering 18 male models in one breath. She lay in a man's arms, drunk. Countless wine bottles under her feet. The best friends who received the news pushed the door open. Seeing this scene, they couldn't help but marvel. Worthy of being Sister Ying, coming to play right after dealing with things. I said, "What is Lu Sinian even? How could Sister Ying possibly love him? Let's go to another one tomorrow." Sister Ying, a new one opened recently. I heard the handsome guys inside are pretty good. They sat down familiarly and chatted. Song Wenning didn't speak, but had a shallow smile on her lips. Her eyes blurred. If Lu Sinian heard these words, I would have to buy a new car again. A few best friends all laughed. Before, Song Wenning played with male models for a day. As a result, I turned around and went to smash her car, a matter that had always been a joke in their circle. No one expected that man to have such a big temper and always go against Song Wenning. Confirming the title of sworn enemy, they chatted for a while longer. Song Wenning didn't join the conversation, just kept drinking with her head down. Suddenly, her phone rang. She narrowed her eyes, clicked her tongue impatiently. It must be Lu Sinian again. Acting crazy seeing me not coming back. Ignore him. Let's continue. As soon as these words came out, the whole place went quiet, leaving only the ringtones still sounding, endlessly. Song Wenning endured the annoyance, and still picked it up, yelling at the other end, "Lu Sinian, what do you want?" Several calls in one night. Go back in a bit, okay? After saying that, she hung up the phone, flipping it fiercely, but the scene was still incredibly quiet. After a long while, did someone seemingly remind her? Speaking softly, "Sister Ying, Lu Sinian is already dead. No one is controlling you now." These words were very light, but made Song Wenning pause. Right? Lu Sinian is already dead? How could she have forgotten? She had always thought the person she hated was already dead. No one would disturb her again. No one would ask her over and over if she loved him, and no one would aggressively rush up to her, while actually unable to hide the love in his eyes at all. Song Wenning suddenly felt a pang of sorrow. Paley tugged at the corners of her mouth. So happy. I completely forgot. Let's continue drinking. Drinks are on me tonight. After speaking, the atmosphere of the scene finally became lively again, but her heart could no longer blend into it. My every move in the past lingered in her mind, making her chest feel as if a piece of stone was missing. Constantly feeling pain, she numbly poured wine for herself, hoping to use alcohol to fill the emptiness. Song Wenning, but she seemed to get soberer the more she drank, as if that shadow appeared in front of her again, putting on that stinking face at her. "Are you courting death? Drinking so much every time. Why don't you just die in the bar? You're quite capable now, huh? Even daring to spread scandals about me. Go home with me." Song Wenning, are you crazy? You dare to lock me in the freezer? Do you know I almost died? You go to hell too. I'll come fish you out when I'm in a better mood. Scenes from the past constantly replayed. There was a trace of a smile on her lips. Sister Ying, you also think what we were just talking about is funny, right? Seeing her finally smile, several best friends thought she heard their chat contents. Winking and nudging her. What? It's about Lucy. Although he has always been your sworn enemy, both his personality and looks are very good. The sisters had even thought, in the future when you get divorced, they would get their hands on him. Lu Sinian is definitely very interesting. It's just a pity that he died. They laughed and supported each other. Song Wenning's face changed instantly. The wine bottle in her hand was squeezed by her until it creaked. She abruptly turned her head, looking sharply at that best friend. Her voice as cold as ice. "You dare." That person was startled by her look, but quickly lost her temper too, stiffened her neck and talked back. "What don't I dare to do? Don't you hate him when he leaves you? Isn't it fine if I get together with him? Say that again if you have the guts." Song Wenning abruptly stood up. She viciously smashed the wine bottle in her hand onto the floor, glass fragments flying everywhere. Her eyes carried an unprecedented anger, like her reverse scale had been touched. That person was also enraged, directly rushed up and grabbed Song Wenning by the collar. Did I say something wrong? Don't you not love him? Playing dumb now. The two instantly tangled together, the scene in total chaos. The others hurriedly rushed up to break up the fight, pulling and yelling at the same time. Enough. We've all been best friends for over 20 years. What's the point of fighting over a man? And that man is Lucinian. He is already dead now. No matter what, he won't hear those words. Sister Ying, why are you bickering with her? Song Wenning was firmly held back by several people, her chest heaving violently, but her gaze was still fixed dead on that girl. For so many days, her heart was still filled with pent-up frustration. Whether it was torturing Shin or indulging in wine and women, she felt irritated. Now hearing these words, she couldn't hold it back anymore, her eyes glaring red. Roaring recklessly, why do you think that? I will never divorce Lucinian in my entire life. Even if he dies, he is still my person. The other party also refused to bow her head. The best friends trying to make peace stood helplessly in between. Sister, what are you doing? Over a dead person? Are you even going to disregard our friendship? Of more than 20 years, Lucinian is already dead. It doesn't matter if we casually say a few words. That's the truth. Song Wenning also told herself this. But once she thought of those filthy words just now, she couldn't control her feelings. Why did they think of him like that? Lucinian is her man. So what if Hay's dead? Even if he dies, he is hers. She panted heavily. The other person being held back also showed no weakness. Smiling mockingly, haven't you guys noticed yet? Our president's Song fell in love with Lucinian a long time ago. Everyone looked at each other. The impact of this sentence was much bigger than best friends fighting over a man, especially since that person was Song Wenning's longtime sworn enemy. Someone frowned and said in a low voice, "That can't be right. How could Sister Ying fall in love with Lucinian? How is it impossible? Look at her current state yourselves. If she wasn't in love with him, how could she be so agitated? Not only did she kill Shinji, she can't even stand to hear a few words." Everyone fell silent. After Lucinian died, they all thought Song Wenning would continue with Shin. Who knew she tortured the person for a month and finally killed him? At my grave, this matter was already very abnormal. Now, coupled with the straightforward questioning, doubt and wavering arose in their hearts. Sister Ying, did you really fall in love with Lucinian? Someone asked tentatively. They looked at Song Wenning again. Sister Ying, is what she said true? Song Wenning had been silent all along. Hearing this, she suddenly flipped the table next to her. Wine bottles and glasses all crashed to the floor, clattering and shattering, frightening everyone like a wild beast gone mad, hoarsely roaring. I just fell in love with him. I fell in love with him a long time ago. These past few days, Song Wenning didn't dare to leave herself a moment of free time. Just my corpse. My appearance when I was alive, and that divorce agreement she tore up, as well as Shinji's questioning before his death, were all repeatedly replaying in her mind. She kept wondering, why didn't she say, "I love you"? Just 3 simple words, and I would have had a chance to come back to life. But she didn't. Not only did she not, she also spoke harshly to me every time I needed her, making me get hurt time and time again. She dreamt of me more than once. Dreamt that she went back to the past. I asked her for an "I love you," and she said it without hesitation. In the dream, I was surprised, as if not understanding. Why? It was so easy. To get a chance at rebirth. But after waking up from the dream, the empty room told her that I died a long time ago. She no longer had the chance to say those words. Regret was like a poisonous vine, wrapping around her, tightening day by day. She couldn't figure out why she had become like this. She used to think she hated me, that we were sworn enemies. But when the truth came out, when I left her forever, did she realize how ridiculous her past hatred was? I died, taking her heart and burying it in the grave together. When torturing she told herself, this was revenge. As long as she dealt with Shinji, she would be able to feel at peace. But when Shinji really died, and she no longer had an excuse, the heavy emptiness surged up like a tide, making her feel like she was drowning. She thought of me every day after calming down, and then realized countless times that this person was already dead. The sorrowful feeling lingered in her heart at all times. She didn't dare to admit her feelings for me at this moment. How could she possibly fall in love with me? But at this moment, she finally couldn't bear it anymore. She crazily vented all of this, smashing everything in the private room completely. Her voice carried pain, roaring and echoing in the private room. I just fell in love with Lucid. I love him. But now, Hay's dead, leaving me all alone. What can I do? The last time I saw him, he was already dead. I originally had a chance to save him. I had countless chances to save him. But I didn't do anything. the woman cried bitterly. Her repressed feelings for days exploded at this moment, shocking everyone present. They could all hear Song Wening's incredibly heavy and sorrowful crying. It was their first time seeing her in such a sorry state. The once high and mighty Song Wening, regretting her actions because of me, but unfortunately, she no longer had the chance to make amends. Only Song Wening's crying and shouting remained in the room. She was like a desperate wild beast, venting out feelings that could no longer be conveyed. Just as she was venting to her heart's content, Song Wening's assistant suddenly rushed in. "President Song, Mr. Shinji is looking for you." Instantly, Song Wening stopped her movements. Shinji had already been killed by her. How could he appear again? She suddenly thought of the extra 5 days I mentioned before. Hope suddenly ignited in her eyes. If Shinji could come back to life, why couldn't Lucinian? There must still be a way. Song Wening used her fastest. Speed 2 rushed back to the villa. Sure enough, Shinji was sitting on a chair, leisurely drinking tea. Seeing her come back, he even smiled brightly. "Wening, did you miss me? How did you come back to life?" Shinji knew what she was thinking. Unrushed, he hooked his lips. "It turns out it's just like what Lucinian said. There really is a Meng Po. She also gave me an extra 5 days. As long as I complete one thing, I can continue to live. Wening, do you want to know what I have to do?" She didn't care about such things. Lowered her voice. "What about Lucinian? He should be able to come back to life again too, right? Right? This time, no matter what the conditions are, I can complete them. As long as Lucinian can come back to life." Shinji stopped smiling. Looked over mockingly. "Even if it means you die." Song Wening's eyes were firm. Without hesitation, "That's right, even if it means I die. But what a pity. Ah, the thing you have to do is more unbearable than death." "Song Wening?" I asked. "The reason Lucinian was able to stay for 5 extra days is because he had hatred for you? He was unwilling, couldn't let go of the past. So he couldn't reincarnate. But after how you treated him, he has already despaired of you. Gone to reincarnate and start a new life? You have no way of seeing him again." Hearing this, Song Wening's emotions that she had endured for a long time erupted. She specifically rushed back, not to hear this kind of nonsense. She grabbed Shinji by the neck. Boundless anger in her eyes was about to erupt. "Since you only know how to say these useless words, then I don't mind letting you die again." The man had suffered enough torture and died once. He wasn't afraid of her at all anymore. He panted, laughing arrogantly. "Kill me. You'll never know how to see Lucinian again." With the name Lucinian present, no matter how angry Song Wening was, she had to let him go. The man was triumphant, his face full of mockery towards her. "As long as you love me, and let me continue to live, I can find Meng Po on the 5th day. And have her tell you Lucinian's whereabouts. Song Wening, this is what you have to do." The woman clenched her fists. Telling her to love Shinji was impossible. She already knew this man's true intentions. She couldn't possibly love him again. She didn't say a word. Shinji seemed to have grasped Song Wening's weak point and continued speaking. "Even if you don't love me, even if you fake it, you have to pretend to love me. Only if I survive. Will you have a chance? Didn't you say you could do anything for Lucinian? Song Wening, if you can't do it, I will leave right now." After speaking, Shinji turned to leave. Song Wening gritted her teeth and grabbed his wrist. The man knew his words had worked. At the same time, he thought resentfully and viciously, Lucinian is already a dead person. Yet Song Wening still can't forget him. The woman's voice was repressed, tightly gripping his wrist, using force as if she wanted to snap that bone. "Shinji." She endured the disgust and spat out this long-lost address. Her heart immediately felt unbearably suffocated. But in order to be able to see me, Song Wening endured the discomfort. Shinji happily turned back and put his arm around the woman's shoulder, intimately resting his head on her. "Wening, so good. In the end, it's still the two of us together." It's unknown if this sentence was intentional or unintentional, making Song Wening almost dig bloody marks into her palms. She stared at him full of hatred. "The only one I love is Lucinian. These 5 days are all just for him." Shinji smiled and nodded. This matter needed to be kept secret. So, besides them, no one knew about the deal between Song Wening and Shinji. The relationship between the two of them seemed to return to when I was still alive. Recklessly showing off their affection outside, they went to see the aurora, taking beautiful photos. Shinji captioned it, "The person by my side will always be you." Song Wening reposted it in a high-profile way. The meaning behind it drew everyone's speculations, instantly sparking a craze on the internet, only compared to people's previous envy of their relationship. This time, there was more incomprehension. If I remember correctly, Song Wening's husband just passed away, right? Getting together with Shinji so fast? What do you know? Song Wening and Lucinian have always been a family-arranged marriage. They had no feelings for each other to begin with. Plus, they were sworn enemies. Now that Lu Xinian is dead, Song Wenning can finally pursue true love. But no matter what, Lu Xinian was her nominal husband. Finding a new love before his body is even cold. It's immoral no matter how you look at it. Not only was there a lot of discussion on the internet, even Song Wenning's best friends were also confused by her behavior. Clearly, just a few days ago, she was still showing her love for Lu Xinian, as if she would rather die than lose him. But as soon as Shinji appeared, she immediately threw Lu Xinian to the back of her mind. Even if she was faking it, she didn't even fake it for 3 days. They couldn't help but doubt. Did Song Wenning really ever love Lu Xinian? The best friends asked Song Wenning out. Unexpectedly, Shinji also came along. Sister Ying, it's not very appropriate for you to bring Shinji to our gathering, right? Someone spoke with a troubled look. Shinji smiled generously. Still keeping his arm around Song Wenning's shoulder, he responded, "Is there anything I can't listen to? Didn't I also often hang out with Wenning in the past? Don't treat me as an outsider." Song Wenning also nodded, implicitly agreeing with his words. Shinji is my lover. No need to hide anything. Seeing her say so, they couldn't stop him anymore. One of them mustered the courage to ask, "Sister Ying, we just want to know, who exactly do you like now? A few days ago, you said you loved Lu Xinian and regretted leaving him so much. We all saw it. But it hasn't even been 2 days. And you are back together with Shinji again. Who is it that you really love? If you still love Lu Xinian, we have no objections. But if it's Shinji..." The speaker frowned. Everyone in the room understood. If this was really the case, Song Wenning's actions were really hard for people to agree with. Everyone's eyes focused on Song Wenning. Shinji also smiled and tightly held her hand. Song Wenning's heart was full of bitterness. She didn't love Shinji at all. Every minute and every second she was with him made her feel disgusted and annoyed, but in order to be able to see me, she had to endure these 5 days. She steadied her nerves. Facing her best friend's expectant gazes, the past few days were just my guilt towards Lu Xinian. Now I have thought it through. The person I love has always been This point will not change. If someone looks down on me because of this, I don't care either. If you want to leave, I absolutely won't stop you. Having Shinji is enough for me. Everyone was extremely shocked after hearing this, not expecting Song Wenning to say such words. First, 1 or 2 left in disappointment. Then the others also walked out of the room one after another. Even her best sister she grew up with since childhood finally patted her on the shoulder. "Sister Ying, I really feel it wasn't worth it for Lu Xinian, but it's not my place to say this. We have known each other for so many years. I just hope you won't regret it in the future." After speaking, she also turned and left. Only Song Wenning and Shinji were left in the private room. Song Wenning's face was pale. Didn't expect her best friends would leave her because of this, but she told herself, as long as she endured these 5 days, when she gets to see me, everything would be worth it. She comforted her aching heart, tightly holding Shinji's hand. Shinji curled his lips in disgust. They really have eyes but cannot see. How am I not as good as Lu Xinian? Wenning, you love me the most, right? Song Wenning looked at the person beside her, only feeling cold and unfamiliar. That's right. You are 100 times better than Lu Xinian. I love you, Shinji. After that, Song Wenning and Shinji went to many other places. Song Wenning bought many precious jewels and gave them to Shinji every day. Social media platforms were flooded with posts of their affection. At first, there were still many voices of doubt and opposition on the internet. But after a few days, the direction of public opinion shifted. Many people started praising them as a match made in heaven. Some even said my death perfectly made way for Shinji. Song Wenning saw these comments, feeling very unpleasant in her heart. She really wanted to stand up and speak for me. But because of the deal with Shinji, she could only swallow these words back down. At night, Shinji wanted to hug Song Wenning. There are only 5 days. Won't you even let me touch you? Wenning, how can you be so... Song Wenning pushed him away with a cold face. Not in the mood today. Well, talk about it next time. But Shinji recklessly pressed close again. It's only these 5 days. Don't be so heartless. Song Wenning's face grew even colder, pushing him away forcefully. Shinji lost his balance and fell straight off the bed. These 5 days are all fake. Shinji, don't go too far. The only person I love is Lu Xinian. I won't possibly let you touch me. Shinji smiled coldly. Well said. You weren't like this before? If the matter isn't done in the end, don't even think about seeing Lu Xinian. Song Wenning felt a stab of pain in her heart. She wanted to see me too much, even if it's just once, even if I refused to forgive her. As long as she could see me, she was willing to pay any price. She humiliatingly pulled up Shinji, who had fallen on the ground, and let him hug her. Shinji smiled happily, wrapping his arms around her neck, But Song Whinnying felt these hands were like a cage, trapping her. She kept telling herself in her heart that this was to act intimate with the person she hated. During this process, she untimely thought of me. She bit her lip, enduring the pain in her heart. Until dawn, did the two of them stop? Shinji fell asleep contentedly. The next day, they went to the most expensive restaurant in the city center to enjoy a candlelight dinner. The third day, Song Whinnying absent-mindedly cut the steak into small pieces and fed it to Shinji. Shinji ate it with a face full of happiness. On the fourth day, Shinji suddenly pretended to accidentally fall into the water. Although Song Whinnying was reluctant, but for the plan, she still jumped down without hesitation and saved him. Shinji remained unconscious. Song Whinnying had to give him artificial respiration, tossing about for half an hour before saving him. This scene was captured by passersby and posted online. Everyone was moved by their true love, but no one remembered that Song Whinnying once had a husband named Lu Sinian. That man who deeply loved her was gradually forgotten. Song Whinnying's heart was full of fear. She didn't want Lu Sinian to completely disappear from her life, just like this. But she was powerless to stop it all. She could only keep comforting herself, firmly believing that as long as the deal with Shinji was completed, she would be able to see me. Later, Shinji proposed wanting shares in Song Whinnying's company. Song Whinnying didn't hesitate at all, and directly gave him 51 of the shares, making him the absolute controlling shareholder of the Song Corporation. This action of hers alarmed the Song family. The elders called her back overnight for questioning. Song Whinnying's face didn't change, because I love him. The old master of the Song family threw his cane at her in anger. Back then, your grandmother arranged Lu Sinian for you. Such a good person. And you act like this? Doing this, are you worthy of your grandmother? Do you still have the face to pay respects to her? Song Whinnying remained silent. She knew she had no face-to-face grandma, nor did she have the face to face my family, but this was her only chance to see me. Her voice was hoarse. As she repeated again, the person I love is Shinji. I am willing to sacrifice everything for him. That day, Song Whinnying was punished by the family, receiving 99 lashes, beaten black and blue, but she still endured the pain and returned to her villa, looking at Shinji full of expectation and said, Shinji, today is the 5th day. Shinji was eating breakfast. Seeing Song Whinnying covered in wounds, he feigned surprise and shock. Whinnying, how did you get like this? He pretentiously rushed over to help Song Whinnying up, but his eyes didn't have a trace of genuine heartache. Just looking at the hideous wounds on her body, feeling secretly proud in his heart, the old master of the Song family struck very hard. Every lash tore Song Whinnying's skin and flesh. She only had one breath left at this moment, but in her heart she was only thinking that today was the 5th day. As long as the last thing is done, she would be able to see me. Song Whinnying endured the pain, squeezed out a smile, and asked what she had to do today. Shinji felt a block in his heart. He didn't expect that even now. Song Whinnying was still only thinking of me. Looking at her expectant eyes, Shinji spoke cruelly. Song Whinnying, marry me. Lu Sinian is already dead. Even if you tore up the divorce agreement, it's useless. The last thing is that you have to marry me? Previously, no matter how outrageous the requests Shinji made, Song Whinnying had agreed to them. But hearing about getting married, her face instantly turned deathly pale. Impossible. She refused without hesitation. This is the last thing. Today's the 5th day. Song Whinnying, I don't want a grand wedding, nor do I want a marriage certificate. I just want you to say that you are willing to divorce Lu Sinian and be with me. Shinji pressed, step by step. Song Whinnying's breathing became rapid. Shinji made her universally condemned and alienated. All these she could endure, but this matter of divorce meant that the last connection between her and me would be. She remained silent. Seeing this, Shinji sneered and said, if you don't agree, don't ever think about seeing Lu Sinian again. Whinnying, choose for yourself. Song Whinnying still didn't speak. Time passed minute by minute, second by second. Just as this 5th day was about to end, Song Whinnying slowly walked to Shinji's side. I agreed to your request. Her voice was calm, but Shinji could see her inner pain and struggle. With a satisfied smile, he kissed Song Whinnying on the face, then went into the room and brought out a meticulously prepared wedding dress. The wedding dress was very beautiful, but in Song Whinnying's eyes, it was incredibly glaring. She forced herself not to think too much, and spoke with difficulty. I voluntarily divorced Lu Sinian. The person I want to marry is Shinji. After saying this sentence, Song Whinnying seemed to have exhausted all her strength. She felt incredibly exhausted. Shinji hugged her happily, hypocritically smiling and shedding tears. I finally married you. Whinnying, do you know how long I've waited for this day? The past 5 days, we were very happy. From now on, we will always be together like this. Okay, when I love you, do you love me? Song Wenning subconsciously wanted to hug the person in her arms to reminisce, but as the words reached her lips, she suddenly snapped back to reality, her face full of terror and anger. The one I love isn't you. The one I love is Shinji, I have already satisfied all your requests. Where is Lucinian? Shinji was thrown to the ground. Severe pain came from his body. His heart was full of unwillingness. He was so close to succeeding. Why couldn't Song Wenning still forget Lucinian? He shouted, out of control. Quick, say you love me. Wenning, the one you love, is me. Have you forgotten? Before you and Lucinian got married, we were already in love. Now we are just getting back on track. Looking at the gradually maddened Song Wenning's heart gradually calmed down. She firmly answered, the only one I love is Lucinian. I was wrong before. I felt guilty towards you, but that was not love. Shinji, let's not entangle with each other anymore. I just wanted to see Lucinian one more time. I told you. These 5 days were all for him. I don't love you. Shinji knew he had completely lost his chance. He planned meticulously for so long, but still failed. He lied to Song Wenning. Lucinian had long reincarnated. It's absolutely impossible for him to appear again. But he was unwilling to accept it. He wanted to make Song Wenning taste despair too. He started laughing madly. Song Wenning, stop dreaming. Lucinian can't possibly come back? Those were all my lies to you. Did you think you still had a chance to make amends? Impossible. It was you who personally hurt him. It was you who didn't save him. Don't even think about seeing him again in this lifetime. Now you even divorced him. You gave up everything for him. But Lucinian will never return to your side again. Hearing these words, Song Wenning had flames of anger burning in her eyes. She couldn't believe her sacrifices over these 5 days turned out to be entirely a scam. She roared, wanting to choke Shinji to death. Shinji was already prepared, pulled out a knife, and stabbed it viciously into Song Wenning's body. The torture of many days, the despair of these 5 days, and the breakdown at this moment made Shinji completely insane. He stabbed desperately with the knife, yelling in his mouth, Wenning, let's die together. Song Wenning was already covered in wounds. At this moment, she had absolutely no strength to resist and could only fall gloomily into a pool of blood. In the final moments of her life, she seemed to see me again, my voice echoing in her ears. I just need you to say one sentence. I love you, and that's enough. She wanted to reach out and respond to me, wanted to tell me she really loved me, but blood surged up her throat, making her unable to say a single word. Only until this moment did she thoroughly understand we had long missed each other and could never go back. Song Wenning closed her eyes, tears of pain sliding down, and Shinji, after stopping, cried and laughed. He also knew he was bound to die without a doubt. He hated Song Wenning and also hated me. Over these 5 days, he got a lot, but solely failed to get the chance to survive. Gradually, his figure began to dissipate. He thought that by killing me, he could become Song Wenning's lover, but in the end, he still couldn't escape the teasing of fate. Forever remaining in this 5th day, all the love, hate, passion, and enmity, regrets and remorse, hope, and despair all dropped their curtains in the nightfall of this 5th day. Everything has ended.